Greetings, it's the Digital Dog, and I'm here to give a quick review of Alien Skin Exposure 4. Alien Skin Exposure 4 is a new plugin that operates through Photoshop or Lightroom, and the intent of Exposure 4 is to produce analog photographic effects. So let's begin and take a look. I think this is a very nicely designed application. The user interface is very simple. In the center you can see a large preview of the image. I had opened it in Photoshop and then invoked Exposure 4. We can zoom in, various ways of zooming into the image. This happens to be about a 60 megabyte 5D Mark II image, and you can see it's very quick. We can come down here and quickly hit 1:1 or fit to screen. There are options for before and after. So this is pretty self-explanatory. You have your preview here in the center of the image. As you work with your images, you have the option of updating. On the left side of the user interface, what we have are a large number of presets for different types of effects that come with the program. So right now, you will notice that if I expand this menu item and move my mouse over these presets, the navigator window above updates on the fly, very similar to what we see in Adobe Lightroom. So this is a very quick way of looking over your particular presets. You could come down, for example, and decide that you want to do a color fading effect and see one that you like. So here is, for example, Ektachrome 50%. If I click on it, you can see the large preview image in the center updates. If I want to go back to square one, I can just come back up here to neutral and reset everything. So one of the things I really like about this application is that it comes with a large number of presets. So if you don't want to build your own, if you have an idea of what type of effect that you want, for example, you're going for a color infrared effect, you can simply toggle over the description, see what you like on screen in the navigator, and simply click. You can also filter up above if you're looking for a particular effect. So for example, let's say I'm looking for something that has to do with grain. I can type grain, and all of the presets are then opened, and I can toggle over them with my mouse and get a very quick update. And so for example, I could come down here to, well, let's try Ilford plus 400. Click, and I'm done. I can come back over here and unclick grain, and I'm back where I started with all my presets. Now, this doesn't mean you're forced to use your particular presets. You can update over on the right side here. You can see that we have a number of tabs for configuring a particular effect. We have color, tone, focus, grain, IR, and age. So if you wanted to, you could come over and click neutral and simply start with a clean slate and pick any of these particular starting points. For example, we could go to color, and if we wanted, we could just pick one of these particular presets, or we could just turn everything off and start altering various sliders to get to a particular effect that we want. And at such a point, we can come over to the right side, click save, and now what we can do is we can enter a setting name, give some descriptions of the values, and so on. At that point, we would have our presets, our user presets, available to us. I don't have any here, as you can see, but you can build your own. You can build them from scratch, or what you could do is you could come over to Factory and you could start with a particular effect. For example, let's go to bright fog. So as you can see, the image and screen gives us sort of this bright foggy effect, and as we toggle through any of these particular panels, for example, let's say we want to add grain to our bright fog, we could go in and we could increase the grain. So now we have a bright fog with grain, and if we wanted to, we could save this. So we could call this bright fog with grain, and we could add a description, but I'll just go OK. And now you can see under black and white and infrared, I have my saved preset here. It's all very nice. The application is very, very quick. Again, this is about a 60 megabyte file. This is not a extremely fast Mac Pro I'm working with. It's a good 3 or 4 years old. And with the 60 meg file, you can see that it's very, very quick to render the image. The other thing that you can do if you want to hide or show particular panels to make the preview larger, you can do so. You may not want to go through here and adjust any of these particular settings. You may want to always work with presets, so you can simply close that pane and move through the presets that come with the application. If we want to come down here and see a before and after, as you can see, we have various ways of viewing the before and after. We can zoom in and see the various effects before and after. So the idea of the application is to provide a large number of analog type effects. I find it interesting that in the day of digital, we are now trying to add certain effects. For example, color fading. In the old days, we would go out of our way to try to fix color fading, but now we have an application that allows us to apply some of these analog effects on the fly here. We can do cross-processing, as you can see, with our before and after. And we can also go through and change the tonality. If we wanted to make this a little bit flatter, if we wanted to up the contrast, well, that's probably more contrast than we want, but you get the idea. So what I would recommend is that you basically download the demo version and give it a try. Initially, I would look at some of the presets here, and then if you want to go ahead and alter to taste, you can do so and save your own preset updates very simply and easily. So what I'm going to basically do, just to give you an idea of how this works, I'm going to go back to neutral, and let's pick vintage. Let's pick, Lith Crush Blacks. Why not? And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say OK down here. And here we are now back in Photoshop. Photoshop's calculating the effect. And you'll notice that the effect produced is on its own layer in Photoshop, which is very nice. It's non-destructive in that you can turn it on and off, and you have all of the other layer controls that you might need. So for example, if you wanted to go in and change the opacity, you could do so. If you wanted to go in and make a layer mask and brush this effect in and out, you can do so. So I think that the tool works extremely well in Photoshop because the end result produces a layer that gives you more control. If you don't own Photoshop, but you own Adobe Lightroom, the application will work through Lightroom. It'll render out a TIFF file and apply the effect, but you won't have this kind of control, which I think is very, very nice. So that is sort of my wrap-up of Exposure 4 from Alienskin. I think it's a very well-designed, very fast, very easy to use and intuitive piece of software, and I suggest you check it out.